everyone. If you haven't met me before, thank you for joining our channel. My name's Chelsea and I'm the librarian half of the librarian and the bookkeeper. And today I want to talk to you about 2-ingredient dough. So I have been on Weight Watchers now for 6 weeks, and about the third week in, I've discovered 2-ingredient dough, and I actually came across it in a recipe. And I actually came across it in a recipe. That's the oven. I have it set to 375. I've got some helpers today, guys. This is the first time I've done a video with my kids actually awake, so we're gonna see how it goes. It listed 2-ingredient dough as one of the ingredients. So I guess 2-ingredient dough, people know about it. If you've done Weight Watchers, you know about it. And if you don't know about it, it's just equal parts self-rising flour and Greek yogurt. So this is what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna make 2 recipes using these ingredients. One pizza, that's the first one that I ever made, and it's really, really good. And the other is I found a recipe for cinnamon rolls, and I've never tried this, so it may not be very good. I tried a pumpkin spice muffin recipe this week, and I'm glad I didn't videotape it because it was a no-go. Today this is the end of my week at home. I was able to take a week off. My son had fall break this week, and so I did a lot of projects around the house. Did not stick to the Weight Watchers plan. Tuesday was really bad. It was so bad that I didn't even count all the points because it got past 90, and I'm just so frustrated with myself. Anyway, but today I went hiking with my son, so we did kind of a reboot. A lot of steps, a lot of steps up and down this waterfall, but we had a really good time. And so now I'm running a little bit late. I was thinking I was going to be able to do this kind of in the afternoon while the kids were still at daycare, but I didn't. So I'm gonna do this with the kids here. So I've got some helpers. You'll probably see some kids running behind. This is my youngest. Misha, say hi.
Hi.
Hi. All right, so let's get started with this pizza dough, okay? It's 1 part self-rising flour and 1 part Greek yogurt. And the self-rising flour obviously is important because all the stuff that, like the baking soda or baking powder, whatever, is in there already, which is great. I don't normally buy this because normally my recipes don't call for it, but for something like this, I have purchased it. So I'm going to do, the recipe to make 4 little mini pizzas is just 1 cup of each. So I've done 1 cup of flour, and I'm gonna do 1 cup of yogurt.
Oh, that's yogurt?
Normally I would probably just eyeball it, but...
Wait, Mommy, that's yogurt?
Yeah, it's Greek yogurt. It means it doesn't have any flavoring in it. It's just plain. So it kind of tastes a little bit like sour cream.
So can I try it?
Yeah, you can try it. All right,
Now that's what pizza looks like.
So this is gonna be our pizza dough. All right, you guys are too close, man. Too close. Back up a little bit, please. All right. You don't like that? He doesn't like it. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and knead the rest of it out. What do you think?
It's good.
You think it's good?
Yeah, it will go.
All right, so you don't want it to be sticky, but it is gonna be like a little tacky. So when it comes time to rolling it out, we're just gonna spread a little bit of flour, not a lot, to keep it from sticking to everything. So the first time that I made this, I didn't read the instructions all the way through, like I often have a problem with. And I actually put all the toppings on the dough and baked it. And it still turned out, but we're actually gonna bake these first. So we're gonna go ahead and roll these out into little mini pizzas, and then we're gonna bake them in the oven for 20 minutes. Just gonna pat it out with our hands. All right, so it's a little mini pizza. It's about, the size of 2 of my hands together, which isn't bad for 1 person. Okay, so we've got 4 of them rolled out. It takes up two pans. I've got 3 on this pan and 1 on this one. And I'm gonna go put it in the oven for 20 minutes at 375. I'll be right back. So the pizza crusts are in the oven and they're baking. And your next ingredient is going to be just plain tomato sauce. So this is 0 points on Weight Watchers. And a lot of times I will make these mini pizzas like when I've made, like I've picked them up some fast food or something and I don't have the points to spend on something from, you know, Wendy's or whatever. I'll get an English muffin and just use tomato sauce and add a little bit of skim mozzarella on it. And that's been kind of my go-to real fast dinner lately. But anyway, so the recipe calls for just like regular tomato sauce and you just use that. But I like to make it, I like to zhuzh it up a little bit. So I've got some fresh garlic cloves here. I love garlic and fresh garlic is like a game changer.
What's that?
It is garlic.
Put more.
So I put some fresh garlic in there and then I'm gonna add some Italian seasoning. And that's all I'm gonna add for now because this is gonna be the sauce that I use for the kids. But then after I make the kids' pizzas, I'm gonna add some crushed red pepper to it because my husband likes spicy and so do I. And so that's what I'll put on the sauce for our pizzas. Anyway, so it's been a rough week. I don't know what weigh-in day is gonna look like for me. If I pull off a weight loss, it's gonna be a miracle. But I have tried very hard to stick to my points today. I'm gonna try really hard to stick to it for the rest of the week. And so we'll keep our fingers crossed. I did go up a lot of stuff. Oh, don't let them see the inside of the refrigerator. Anna, what are you doing?
Is there any yogurt?
So anyway, pray for me to stay strong this weekend because I still want to see a weight loss. I did go hiking today. We went up like 539 steps. It was a lot of steps. It was a lot of steps and we saw some beautiful waterfalls. Our library system allows patrons to check out passes to the local state parks for free. So we didn't have to pay anything. Just had to pay for the gas to drive down there. So okay, so pizza crusts are still cooking and I thought I'd go ahead and start measuring out my cheese. So this is my little food scale. So this trick I saw on the Weight Watchers app, somebody uses coffee filters to measure their food with when they don't want to dirty dishes, and I'm real big on that. So I'm using a coffee filter, and I've tared the unit, so it's at 0 right now, and I want just one ounce of cheese. I'm actually gonna go ahead and do 2 ounces. That's what the recipe calls for. I was thinking I would cut it in half, but that doesn't look like much cheese, so. I feel like cheese is the sort of thing that's really easy to overdo on accident. Oh, that's more cheese. Okay, good job, Mish. So I wanted to make sure that I got exactly 2 ounces because I don't want to go over my points, especially after the madness that was Tuesday. Now, when I make the kids' pizzas, obviously I'll just pile on the cheese. All right, that's good. Thank you. Thank you. You did a good job. High five. Thank you. Okay, so I got these out of the oven at 18 minutes, which is what the recipe recommended, and they are a little darkish brown, but that's okay. It's gonna work. We'll cover it with cheese. They'll never know, but I am going to do the dark side up so the cheese will really cover it. Hopefully the tomato sauce will soak in. I'm gonna put this sauce really thickly on these well done pizza crusts. Not beyond. Well, maybe that one. For the grown-ups pizza, we're gonna add quite a bit of crushed red pepper. Nice and spicy. So here is my pre-measured cheese, and it is definitely gonna be enough to cover up this pizza. Probably could have done 1.5 ounces if I was trying to really save myself some points. If it's been a real red letter day. And then for the kids and the husbands, I'm just gonna pile the cheese on. Oh, you guys can't really see this too well, but. Okay, and then turkey pepperoni, 17 of these babies is like a ridiculous small amount of points. Two for 17. And I don't miss regular pepperoni. This turkey pepperoni pretty much does it. And my husband and my kids did not notice the difference. In fact, the baby was throwing them, was eating them earlier, so just like right out of the package. Okay, see? Not too bad. Yeah, again, I probably would have cooked the crust for maybe more about like 12 to 13 minutes to get it the right color on 375, but this will work. So I'm gonna go put it in the oven again just until the cheese is melted. Okay, so I just got it out of the oven, and this entire pizza is 7 points. That's not bad on green.
Mommy.
Hi, Misha.
Mommy.
Now again, if you need to save some time, you can always make it on an English muffin, but that's pretty good. All right, stay tuned for some cinnamon rolls in a second. Okay, so you may never see my kids again because I'm never filming with them again. That was awful. Okay, so what I want to tell you, that pizza was really good. It was a big hit with the kids. They didn't, well, they said it was too saucy, which obviously I added extra sauce because I burnt the crust, but it was good. We ate it, dinner's done. Oh, and I just wanted to say one more thing. So with keto, like, have you guys tried, I don't know if any of you guys have been on keto before, but with keto, there's lots of like keto pizza crust. This pizza crust, the one that we just had, way better than any diet pizza crust that I've ever had before. The closest I ever got before with keto was one that was basically made out of cheese. It was the fathead cheese keto crust or whatever. And I noticed, like, I discovered that like halfway through keto, and I loved it because at that point, like, I'm just like dying for pizza. And it was good. It wasn't as good as this 2-ingredient dough pizza crust, but it has so much cheese in it, and even though keto, like, you should be able to eat it and still lose weight, I did notice that when I had that pizza crust, the fathead pizza crust, it did stall my weight loss, and I did not notice that with this because I've been eating this 2-ingredient dough pizza crust since about the 2nd or 3rd week of Weight Watchers. So just throwing that out there. Okay, let's get on with these cinnamon rolls. So I've got the oven heated up to 350 degrees, and I'm going to start off with, I'm just using the same bowl that I used earlier because it's the same ingredients and I don't feel like having to do 100 dishes when this is over. So this is what I had the 2-ingredient dough in before. So it wants me to do 1.5 cups of the yogurt. And again, I'm going to kind of eyeball it. I've got the measuring cup here, but that's about right. So I've got 1.5 cups here of the Greek yogurt. They say it's 2 ingredients, but it's not. They're gonna zhuzh it up a little bit with a little bit of vanilla, 1 tablespoon, and 1 egg. And I did not bring the egg out. So obviously it's not really the 2-ingredient dough, but that's what they said. So I'm gonna mix that in with the yogurt. And now it wants us to add 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar. So 1, 2. And the actual recipe wants you to mix the flour and the sugar in one bowl and the yogurt mixture in another bowl and then combine. But really they just want to make sure that the powdered sugar gets consistently throughout the entire mixture. So I'm just going to add the powdered sugar first and then add the flour, so that way I don't have to go through 2 bowls. I really don't like dishes, guys. So now we need 2 cups of flour, and it's, again, that self-rising flour. So now that it's mostly mixed, it's telling us to knead it inside the bowl for about 2 minutes. And if it's too sticky, we're supposed to add more flour, about a tablespoon at a time. Now, this recipe, you know, this dough is probably stickier than a cinnamon dough would be, a cinnamon roll dough would be. There's no yeast in it, for one. I know it's making a lot of noise. And the next step wants us to use parchment paper to kind of keep the form of the dough. And I'm out of parchment paper. My sister, I took it to my sister's house. She had us make caramel apples a couple weeks ago, and I didn't eat any because I was strong. Anyway, so I'm out of parchment paper. And all I have besides that is some tin foil and some plastic wrap. And neither of those things I'm gonna add a little bit more flour. Neither of those things I think are going to work well, so I'm just gonna put it on my tabletop and we're gonna hope for the best. So instead of using parchment paper, I'm just doing it on my granite countertops and hope that it's not too sticky. I probably added a lot of flour, but at this point, the more you need, the stickier it gets. Obviously, you don't want to add too much flour because that's going to add to the content, to the points content. But since they did tell us to do it for a full 2 minutes, that's probably about right. Okay. So I'm going to sprinkle this flour on here just a little bit more. We've got our dough here. And they want us to roll it into a 9 by 12 rectangle. So we're gonna eyeball that, obviously. You know, and they say rectangle, but like, obviously it's gonna be more of an oval. But the more of a rectangle you can make it, the better, because then you won't get like some gimpy cinnamon rolls on the end. All right, without getting a tape measure out, that's, I'm gonna say, about accurate. Okay, so next step is to sprinkle the brown sugar, which is about a 1/4 cup of brown sugar and 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon. In order to make sure that those are on there evenly, I'm gonna go ahead and mix that up into a bowl. So the one thing that's missing really in this recipe that's normally in a cinnamon roll recipe is the butter. So this is basically butterless cinnamon rolls, but it's got cinnamon, so we'll see how it turns out. All right. So we're gonna take this and we're going to sprinkle it evenly all the way to the edges. And again, I talked before about how I really like to use normal baking ingredients. I don't like to use anything besides brown sugar or white sugar. I just don't like the way it tastes, and I feel better about feeding it to my family. So I'm glad that this recipe uses brown sugar instead of something like Splenda or stevia. It's just my personal preference. You could probably make these sweeter and less points if you cut, maybe did half brown sugar, half stevia. But this is the way that I like it. All right, so starting with the long edge, we're gonna roll the dough up tightly. Now this is where, if we had parchment paper, we would be using the parchment paper to help roll this. But again, I didn't, but that's okay. It is actually folding pretty nicely without it. So we're just gonna keep rolling that up. All right, so we now need to cut this into 12 slices, and then we are going to put it in this baking dish. I got this from Misty recently, and I had just broken mine not too long ago. It's got flour in there. It says use 5 sprays, so I don't know, that was more like 6. I feel like 5 sprays, that's a little vague, isn't it? Like, is it like 5 1-second sprays? 5 2-second sprays? Like, I feel like you need to determine the length of the spray if you're gonna say 5 sprays, but you know, that's just me. All right. Okay, I'm gonna pop this in the oven for, it says 22 to 25 minutes or until lightly browned. After the pizza crust fiasco, I'm probably gonna check on it in 18 minutes. Okay, so while those cinnamon rolls are baking, I just wanna talk to you a little bit more, now that the kids aren't running around driving me crazy, about the 2-ingredient dough. So what's great about the 2-ingredient dough is, first of all, it's 2 ingredients. Obviously we added a few things for the cinnamon rolls, but for the most part, they're just 2 ingredients. So it's easy to keep on hand and it's easy to throw together on a weeknight or whenever you're just having to do something pretty quickly. And then it's just really diverse. So I've seen all kinds of recipes on the app for this 2-ingredient dough. Some people are making their bagels out of it. Some people, you know, pizza crust is a really popular one. But the sky's the limit with this dough. I've seen calzones. So there's lots of kind of different variations that you can do with it, and it tastes pretty good. I mean, you know, it is still a diet bread. But it is the best diet bread that I have found so far. I know that with keto, a lot of the breads that I would make, you know, used coconut flour or almond flour, and it always had that weird texture. You know what I mean? That weird texture. Like the coconut flour was the worst because it was just like, it like sucked your spit up in it or something because it was so just dry, and then it had that like coconut flavor. So I never did like any of those substitutes with keto for bread, you know, because none of it was really bread. And again, that's why me and Misty, we are loving Weight Watchers, because you can still have the things that you love, you're just changing them, you know, a little bit. And so so I'm a big fan of this 2-ingredient dough. I'm a big fan of the pizza that we've made. Hopefully that these cinnamon rolls will be pretty good too. Okay, so the cinnamon rolls are out of the oven. I just took them out, and the recipe says to let them cool off for about 10 minutes. So we're gonna put together the glaze really quickly. And the glaze is real easy. It's gonna be a half a cup of powdered sugar, which seems like a lot, but that's probably where most of the sweetness is coming from. Half a cup of powdered sugar, and 2 tablespoons of Greek yogurt. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And I only have a half teaspoon, so I'm gonna just I'm gonna eyeball a half of that. Okay, so the recipe says, it's gonna seem really thick and chunky, but just keep stirring and it'll eventually turn into a glaze. I don't know how long eventually is. It's not. It's already getting kind of, oh, yeah, look at that. Beautiful. All right, that is, oh, that's a beautiful glaze. All right, you can see these, it's still kind of warm. Look at that. They look like cinnamon rolls. They smell like cinnamon rolls. Let's add the glaze. This really is a very nice glaze. I'm curious why they used Greek yogurt instead of skim milk. I feel like points-wise, those are gonna be about the same. Maybe it adds a little bit more fat, I don't know. Okay, here you have it. Our cinnamon rolls are ready. Now, one of these cinnamon rolls is 5 points on green. I'm not entirely sure what it is on the other ones, but if you search easy cinnamon rolls, and I'm gonna drop the link in the description of this video, you can follow it and see how many points it is on your color. All right, let's serve it up and see how it tastes. Okay, so there you have it. Our cinnamon roll looks just like a cinnamon roll. Hello. This is really good. I'm going to make these again. It has, like, you can almost taste a little bit of the Greek yogurt in the glaze. There's a little bit of a sour taste there. I don't know if it's coming from the dough or if it's coming from the glaze, but it's like not unpleasant. It's still good. It's maybe a little bit different from a regular cinnamon roll. I can't believe that this is only 5 points. It's only 5 points. So I'm gonna have one of these with breakfast. I should probably stop eating this one. I don't know where I am on my points today, but I did have fajitas at lunchtime. I didn't eat all of them, but I had some. All right, I'm gonna stop eating in front of you. That's so gross. So cinnamon rolls were a big hit. I'm gonna really like these. My kids are really gonna like these. No Splenda, no stevia, just some home cooked leaven, no butter, mostly just Greek yogurt. I would say that is a really good Weight Watchers recipe. So thank you for following us. I really encourage you to make these cinnamon rolls, make that pizza, use that 2-ingredient dough, and let us know what recipes you're using it for. Thank you, and see you on weigh-in day, and pray for me.